3 minutes late and the doors punish me for it. Glass teeth parting with a hiss that turns every elder head. The Helios station hall is all white curves and listening walls, floor polished to a mirror that keeps secrets too well. My shoes grab nothing. Momentum lies. I slip. It's not a dignified stumble. Knees tilt. Tablet skates. My lab badge yanks tight against my throat like it's trying to save its own career. A cluster of silver-robed Astari women watch with the concern of astronomers for a falling satellite. Interesting. Not urgent. Then one of them moves. She is small and still somehow taller than Sense. Pale hair bound like a moonlit rope. Biolight at her throat. An ovoid pulse. Cool blue. Her hand finds my wrist before I hit the floor. Skin to skin. Heat under static. Something in her light warms, like a sunrise behind frosted glass. "Your vector was optimistic," she says, voice precise, amused by physics. I hear myself laugh, breathless. Most scientific fall in the galaxy. There's a half-beat where we both wait for the joke to fade. It doesn't. Her grip is firm, and she is weighing me. Mass, trajectory, motive, like a scanner running an algorithm no human clinic owns. The biolight softens to pearly green. My pulse argues with my dignity. She tilts her head, listening to both. "Your heart's racing," she says, frank as a scalpel. From fear, or because it's me? I could lie. I've lied to grant committees and tyrant deadlines. But the station's walls hum with recorders, and the elders' eyes are narrow slits of tradition. And for a sliver of a second, the truth is lighter to carry than anything else. "Because it's you," I tell the alien. Her pupils tighten, a reflex I don't have a name for yet. The green on her throat candles warmer. She sets me upright, like it's part of a ritual. It feels like one. "Dr. Jack Harris," the chief elder intones, voice amplified by the ceiling's ribs. You arrive for the voice. I drag in air that smells faintly of ionized citrus and sterilized rain. Yes, My tablet has slithered next to a ceremonial basin, still projecting the rotating tangle of glyphs from last night's decrypt. The Astari semicircle encloses it like a moat around a relic none of us completely understand. She releases my wrist. Immediately, I miss the contact. "Mira of the Moon Thread," the elder adds, as if she needs an introduction. Interpreter. Co-signer. Mira steps back into her place among the women, but she doesn't stop watching me. The watching isn't possessive. It's investigative, like she's waiting for a second variable. The hall's lights dim by a fraction. On Helios, everything is automated to soothe, air density adjusting to breath rates, sound bafflers arranging themselves in origami panels around whoever speaks. Somewhere beyond the bulkheads, cable trams purl through the city's spine, ferrying night shift medics and day shift welders. The red water ration icons on our wristbands have counted down all week, but here the fountains purr on, ceremonial and wasteful. The city eats contradiction for breakfast. I step to the dais. The glyphs spin, old as the dust on the moon and new as my stutter. The prophecy's voice, they call it. A supposedly neutral human throat to deliver outcomes no machine is allowed to predict. The Astari elders want certainty dressed as poetry. Our council wants funding dressed as peace. I start with the clean part. Sounds, syllables, the math of it. Voice out, echo in. The walls taste every vowel and feed it to the archive. But the formulas turn sharp. The glyphs refer to kin radii and binding sums, terms that refuse to live in English without chewing it up first. My tongue stalls. The elders shift. The hall holds its breath. Mira moves again. She doesn't ask permission. She steps to my side, a fractional invasion of the sanctum that the elders tolerate because she is moon thread and because her status has its own gravity. Close now, I can see the bio-light at her neck resolving into tiny braids of living filament, like a heartbeat written in code. "Allow me," she murmurs, soft enough for me, but the walls catch it anyway. She doesn't steal my microphone. She steals the awkwardness. When I shape the first harsh term, she translates it sideways, not just word to word, but culture to consequence. She catches my meaning midair and untwists it so it lands unbroken. I talk about kin radii as if the phrase will cut me. She says, circles of obligation, and no one bleeds. I say, binding sums with the caution of a chemist handling an explosive. She calls them debts that pretend to be love, and something like a ripple moves through the semicircle. I keep speaking, and I start listening less to the chamber and more to the sound of her breath at my shoulder, the soft count of it, the unhurried metronome. We become a rhythm. My voice, her correction. My pause, her knife-clean addition. The prophecy is a spine now, not a tangle. When I risk a glance, she's closer than I registered. A few strands of hair have escaped the rope. They're fine as comet tails, and one of them almost brushes my jaw when she leans to rephrase a stubborn line. The bio-light has warmed to amber. I don't know the etiquette of their colors, but I want to. By the time the last glyph unwinds, the room is less brittle. The elders consult in a whisper that's more wires than wind. A venerable woman with fingertips tattooed in rings, their accountancy, raises a palm. Neutral voice, deliver the closing. The closing is a trap, and everyone knows it. Choose a side, and we shatter the experiments. Refuse, and we insult centuries of a starry ceremony. The council's legal AI once advised me, in a private message with too much empathy for code, that the safest answer in such halls is the one that keeps you employed. I look straight ahead. The fountains hush to hear me. Mira's shoulder is a heat signature at the edge of my suit sleeve. I choose, I say, and every translator throat in the room glides open to catch the rest. No one. Silence. Then the rustle of a fence, quick and delicate, like paper set on fire at three corners. Before the flames can meet, Mira speaks. Clarify, she says to me, but the word carries to the rafters. No one as in no faction, or no one as in no future. She's given me a seam to escape through without tearing the suit. I nod, grateful enough to taste it. No faction, I say. The prophecy warns about sums dressed as love. If we choose a side today, we'll be decorating chains. It's not eloquent. It's true. And truth is scandal enough here. The elders don't relax so much as change shape. The oldest among them taps 2 fingers to the bowl's water. Acknowledge, not agree. Formal dissent will come later in the form of elegant letters and budget strangulation. For now, the ceremony lets us leave. I thank Mira with a look that is a little too long and a little too unprofessional. She returns one that is neither apology nor promise. The amber at her throat lingers like a warm vowel. We step back from the dais. The hall exhales. People begin to move in practiced currents. Security hover drones taking up their ghostly stations. Aides adjusting their augmented sashes where live notes crawl. I retrieve my tablet and fail to stop my fingers from shaking. Mira notices. Of course she does. You performed uncertainty well, she says. I felt it flawlessly, I answer. She considers that, like a theorem with a human trapped inside it. Then, almost conspiratorially, you should eat. Negotiations starve the brain. I dissect glyphs better than lunch. Then I will bring both, she says, as if solving a supply chain, not offering care. Her bio-light brightens, a brief flare that glances across my wrist. It leaves my skin tingling, as if a spark looked for a home and filed a change of address to my nerves. First look, First touch. First honesty. A thin thread tightens between us, invisible as breath on glass. As the elders drift away, one of them pauses beside Mira. He speaks in Astari, the vowels like smooth stones. I don't need a translator to understand the warning sewn into his politeness. Mira's posture doesn't change, but I see it. The minute tremor in her hands, quickly stilled, like a bird pretending to be a statue. Status versus humanity. Protocol versus pulse. I should walk away. I should let the currents reabsorb me and head for the lab, where the lights don't judge, and the machines only ask for calibration. Instead, I fall again. Not on the floor this time. Toward her. I pretend to go home. I don't. I retreat to the translation lab, that humming rectangle tucked under Helios's spine, where the vents taste of copper, and the night shift leaves the lights low out of superstition. The building's sleep mode narrows the hallways to blue threads. Motion sensors open them like eyelids wherever I walk. My wristband ticks rations at me. 2.1 liters remaining, as if thirst were a subscription service. The glyphs wait, rotating like a storm over water. I've spent months with them. They still make me feel like a locksmith kneeling at the wrong door. Tonight, the shapes won't hold still in my head. They invert, reflect, become the negative of themselves. My notes stack like quiet failures. I tell the room, we can do this, and the room decides not to argue. Sometime after 2, the city drops. Trams hush, drone lanes thin. Beyond the lab's glass, the manufacturing bay naps, a forest of arms folded in robotic patience. I push through another layer of syntax, and something yields. A verb turns out to be an instrument, not an action. A pronoun is legal, not personal. I scribble, pace, calculate. I forget to blink. The door purrs open at 4. Mira enters with 2 cups that smoke gently in the cold air. Her robe is traveler dark instead of ceremonial silver, and the biolight at her throat has softened to a low ember, as if she dimmed it to be polite to sleeping machines. You should eat, she says, winning our earlier argument without gloating. Tea, bread, salt fruit. You solved breakfast? I ask, too fast, like a man grateful for rescue, but not ready to confess it. I solved you refusing breakfast, she says, placing a cup within my reach. The scent is sharp, floral, then mineral at the end. If you drop, an elder will make a parable out of it. I grin. The grin feels borrowed, but it holds. I prefer my parables voluntary. She sets a small case on the table. When she opens it, memory crystals gleam in their nests, thin hexagonal wafers that catch the lab's light and throw it back like water coins. She moves to the console and asks, "Permission?" "Granted," I say, then realize I said it in her cadence, clean and clipped, the way a systems officer authorizes air. She notices. The corner of her mouth finds an almost smile. She slides a glove off, extends her hand toward the nearest crystal. We reach at the same moment. Fingers meet over a sliver of encoded night. Not a spark, not heat. A vibration, low and whole, as if the crystal recognized the coincidence and approved. I don't let go, and neither does she, for 1 heartbeat, 2. The hum threads through skin and tendon, rides my forearm like a violin's note, pools somewhere under my sternum where secrets usually sleep. Pulse alignment, she says, softly analytical. Or the machine wants attention, I offer, because jokes are safer than showing my hands shake. She tilts her head. Machines do not want, but they learn to imitate those who do. We seat the crystal. A slice of the Astari archive blooms, notations, songs without sound, a map of obligations braided through centuries of water scarcity and pilgrimage. I drink tea because she told me to, and discover I needed it. She takes the stool beside mine, not quite touching me, close enough that when she leans to magnify a segment, I feel the air move along my neck. We work. I explain the verb's ambiguity. She reroutes me through the cultural intersection where ambiguity is taxed, not celebrated. I complain that a phrase refuses to translate without becoming moral. She answers, "It is moral. Call it what it is." We argue gently. We laugh in half whispers, a ridiculous sound for two adults solving an equation that could steer fleets. The corridor beyond us stays asleep. At some point, my shoulder meets hers. Neither of us comments. A few strands of her hair come loose, brushing the soft place just below my ear when she leans. The biolight warms shade by shade, dawn on a throat. "Here," she says, opening a new layer. "You persist in assigning agency to the prophecy." "It reads like a person," I say, "a tired one with a debt ledger." "It reads like a contract," she counters. "A tired contract, yes. The tiredness is the weight of many signers." "So it is a person," I say, and that earns me the smile that had been waiting in her mouth, a small eclipse bright on one edge. We find the phrase again. Kin radii. We draw its circle. My version is geometric. Hers is legal. The overlap is a bridge so thin I feel it trembling. I do the careful thing and step onto it anyway. "It might not be family as we frame it," I say. "It could be the circle you can be punished for leaving." Mira's eyes flick to mine. The biolight flares without her consent, then steadies. She is very still for a beat, like a person listening to the interior of a snow globe. "Circle of obligation," she says at last. "Yes, that is what I said in the hall." "You said it beautifully," I say. And then, because I can't help myself, "And you saved me." She looks down at the console. "I saved the process. You are a carrier wave." "I'm also a man who almost ate the floor in front of your entire line of credit with the universe." "You fell with charm." She steals a glance at my shoulder. "And honesty." I feel the tea unclench something in my chest. "Honesty is cheaper than eloquence," I say. "For you, perhaps," she answers, and there's a shadow under it, old and careful. We keep going. We assemble a glossary, not in English, not in Astari, but in the corridor between. We build it out of the little verbs that rule the world: to bind, to release, to owe, to refuse, to keep. We avoid the romance of capital letters. We choose small words that carry well. At 5, the city yawns. Cargo trikes buzz awake on the lower decks. The mess hall's printers cough out the first tray of plastic bowls. A newsline flickers across the glass. Quarantine extended in Water District 6. Astari guards change shifts in absolute silence, their boots engineered to talk less than their faces. Mira touches the console, and the translation band on my desk wakes. A broad strip of flexible glass I've spent a year coaxing into manners. The band's sensor array is set to monitor stress variables during negotiations. Tonight, it has been sleeping on paperwork. "May I?" she asks, and slides it onto her palm. A pair of heartbeat traces lights the band. Mine jumps like a skittish animal. Hers moves like a measured tide. For a few breaths, the waves lag. Then the lag shortens. The peaks start to answer each other. "Looks like we're learning one language," I whisper. "The kind with fewer words than meaning," she replies. We both look up, surprised by how quiet the room has become around that truth. Quiet like a pact. Something about the sight is indecent, in the way a window made private by rain can still be seen through from the right angle. I want to look away. I don't. The lines align, deviate, align again. I shake my head and laugh softly, because laughter is the rope out of any hole. "Seismic noise," I say. "It's bound to sink sometimes." "Yes," she says. "Seismic." We close the glossary with a last entry: to choose. We leave the box empty for later. It feels like cheating. It feels like mercy. By 6, the hall summons us. The elders prefer dawn. They believe new light flatters old doctrine. We bring the tea and the crystals and the treacherous translation band that now knows more than it should. The Helios Hall has reset to austere brightness. Fountains rehearse their serenity. The semicircle closes like a jaw. The debate turns brutal early. A hardliner from the Iron Water branch calls me a decorative algorithm. Another elder implies that my refusal last night signaled a human disinterest in consequence. I know better than to get angry. Anger is a speech with too much weather in it. I say, I choose no one. Again, because the truth didn't break while we slept. The room temps drop half a degree. The hover drones drift forward like patient sharks. Mira moves. She doesn't take my side as a banner. She digs under the floorboards. Clarify, she says. Does the voice refuse factions because the prophecy warns against binding sums misnamed as love? A question instead of a fight. The oldest rhetorical trick. The only one their etiquette respects. The elders pivot. Discussion sketches itself where a duel was loading. I follow her lead, answering with the certainty of a man who has the answer printed in his bones by a sleepless night. We argue circles without using the word family. We argue debts without saying marriage. We argue safety without promising it to anyone. When it is done, nothing is decided and everything is less dangerous. After, in the corridor where the sun lamps simulate a morning gentler than the real one, I thank her with my eyes. She meets them. The amber at her throat says a word I don't know, but my skin understands it. I'll return the band, she says, thumb brushing the edge of the device. Keep it, I hear myself say. It reads you better. That is what troubles me, she says. It reads me at all. You can set the privacy gates, I offer. I was designed without them, she replies, almost light, almost not. We walk the long loop to the biosphere garden without announcing the intention to do so. Outside, drizzle drones begin their city sweep, stitching rain onto the parched air so street dust won't riot during rush hour. Inside, leaf light falls in squares. The garden is always warmer than the corridors, as if plants demand a tax of comfort from the air itself. We should rest, I say. We should pretend to, she answers, and I understand that she has a meeting with someone who calls themselves kin and means owner. Then let's practice pretending. I point at a bench under a dome of luminous leaves. The bench agrees to be a bench. Helios is full of furniture that wants to be other things. She sits. I sit far enough to be polite, close enough to be rude. Thank you, I say, and the words feel too small for the labor they must do. You're welcome, she says, and for a moment she rests her head back, eyes closed, as if angling her face toward a sun she misses. The band still on her palm glows with our twin lines. The peaks lean. The troughs understand. The pull isn't a spark anymore. It chooses its own physics. Gravity. The hall digs its teeth into my nerves long after I leave it. Protocol clings like static. I walk the service ring until my legs stop translating orders into motion. Only then do I follow the quiet to the biosphere garden, the one place in Helios where the air forgets to be measured. The door reads my wristband, sulks about my ration status, and lets me in anyway. Plants breathe louder than people here. A canopy of luminous leaves hums in layered greens, each a different dialect of photosynthesis. The irrigation threads glow in pulses like sleeping highways. A maintenance drone slips overhead, with soft pincers full of pruning shears and a bad attitude. Mira is already on the bench beneath the largest dome. Her robe has lost the ceremonial stiffness. She looks like a traveler between climates, not a princess of water law. The bio-light at her throat whispers amber, then rests. You pretended to rest, I say. I rehearsed, she answers, not opening her eyes. Performance is later. I sit, careful as an apology. My hands want to fidget with anything that can pass for work. I offer the translation band instead. It still thinks we're a duet, I say, and place the glass across her palm. Twin heart lines rise. Mine jitter. Hers attends. The delay sighs, shortens. The curves approach until they are neighbors who share a fence and a complicated history. Looks like we're learning one language, I whisper. The kind where there are fewer words than meaning, she says, and the truth of it floats between us like a pollen mote too bright to ignore. For a span I can measure in breaths, the garden becomes a quiet without edge. City noise turns to a rumor. The vents learn tact. Even the drone above us, poised to scold a disrespectful fern, minds its manners. Tell me what the elders said after, I ask. They calculated me, she says. Then they asked if I've misplaced my balance. And have you? I placed it where I could see it, she replies, and finally looks at me. They prefer their balances invisible. I nod, ridiculous with sympathy for a language that treats people like architecture. I could requisition you a privacy gate, I offer. Something dumb and stubborn. Metal in a world of glass. You would requisition me a wall. A door, I say, with a lock inside. Mira studies me as if I've surprised a sensor she thought was turned off. The biolight answers for her before she does. A richer amber, a warm vowel. Thank you, she says, but walls make elders inventive. They come with taller ladders. Then I'll monitor the ladders. You are not a ladder technician, she says, amused despite herself. I can learn, I tell her. I'm good at unpopular electives. Silence, softer. Leaves hiss like friendly rain. A kid on a night shift cuts across the far path, dragging a cart full of soil cartridges. He hums the chorus of a song the city pretends is banned. He salutes us with 2 fingers when he notices the robes. Rank is a reflex in Helios, even when no one asks for it. Mira returns the gesture with an economy that suggests she was built to be saluted at. We're alone, I say, when the kid exits, and the door gives back its vacuum sigh. For a moment inside a meal, she agrees. My hand moves before a committee can review it. I graze her cheek with 2 fingers. Her skin is smooth and warm, ever so slightly cool at the edge, where the biolight's current runs thin. The line of light along her neck arcs like a comet's afterthought. She reaches up and touches my wrist, permission without the clatter of ceremony. The translator band, balanced now across both our palms, throws a neat little tremor into the heart lines, as if applauding quietly. I've studied your species' scripts, she says, tone careful as a scalpel. You anchor touch in law, contracts, vows. We do that to keep the clumsy from breaking anything they don't understand, I say, and because we like receipts for our earthquakes. The corners of her mouth consider an opinion, then agree to one. I like the earthquake, she confesses. The kiss begins like research, close, closer, a hypothesis of warmth. Her breath is mint metal, like clean rain on a tool bench. My mouth is ordinary, human, startled to be allowed. The garden does that cinematic trick, where all the lights decide to help. We don't rush. It feels irresponsible to rush in a city made of deadlines. Something kindles, not a flare, not a crisis, just a steady, sheltered fire that chooses its own pace. My hands learn the shore of her shoulders. Hers map the collarbone I've never considered an asset. Careful, she murmurs, and I think she means me. Then I realize she means her biolight. The filaments have warmed to gold white, bright enough to call curious devices. It reports when I forget to. I pull back a fraction, dizzy with the fact that restraint can be a gift. Do you want darkness? I want the right to decide who sees the light she replies. Then turn it, I say, and slide my thumb to the control node I spotted yesterday under the skin, a small raised coin just below the curve. If you let me, she tilts her chin. Consent, an intimate surrender disguised as ergonomics. I press. The glow softens to candle. The garden stops staring. She exhales something like relief. You just violated 3 minor codes. I'll confess to the smallest elder, I promise. You will delight the wrong one, she warns, but she is laughing now. Sound low, thread tugging. Another kiss, deeper now that we're not broadcasting. Kiss, breathe, speak, breathe, kiss. Our hearts choreograph a shared stubbornness on the band. It would be embarrassing if I were not wildly beyond embarrassment. I don't know how to keep you safe, I say against her temple. You are not assigned, she whispers back. I'm choosing field work, I counter. A live field work, not autopsy. She leans into my shoulder, and I have never been grateful for a bone I cannot name. Your council will mind. My council minds everything. It's their brand. You will lose funding. I will eat simpler noodles. You will be isolated. I have a bench. Her laugh is softer this time. It lingers longer than necessary. Then it fades when a shadow crosses the dome. 3 figures pausing just outside the garden's glass, their silhouettes precise as design flaws. Hardliners. Moon thread robes cut to show rank like scars. Mira's spine adjusts by small increments. The tremor in her fingers returns and hides. She sits up, uncoiling the careful grace she learned in rooms where kindness is currency. They want me to rehearse balance again, she says. You don't owe them your fall, I answer. They believe I owe them the way my feet touch the floor. She stands. The band slides to her wrist like it chose her first. When she looks back at me, the light on her throat holds steady at a domesticated dawn. Jack, I know, I say, and do not reach for her, which is the hardest version of reaching. At the threshold, she stops. She removes a memory crystal from a pocket at her sleeve and presses it into my palm. Its frequency sings the small hum of earlier, as if recognizing our unfinished sentence. This one is not in the archive, she says. Moonthread kept it private. It is a copy. If I am removed, it will argue in my absence. Argue what? That there are debts pretending to be love, she says, and the courage in it shines so plainly it hurts. That I refused a particular invoice. I'll keep it hot, I promise. I'll keep it loud. Keep it true, she corrects gently. Loud can be purchased. She goes to them then. Not meek, not reckless. Protocol, but worn like a coat she intends to outgrow. The glass door slides. Their lips move with the theater of kinship. Hands touch wrists in patterns that bind and testify. I watch the geometry, the way a circle is made from angles and pressure. The kid with the soil cartridges reappears, pauses when he sees the tableau, and takes the slow route around without being told. Even children in Helios are fluent in tension. Mira speaks. I can't hear. The garden baffles perform their pointless courtesies, but I can read the math from their faces. They count, they discount, they try to price what happened on our bench, and fail. When she returns, a part of me wants to carry her. A larger part wants to let her walk, because dignity is the tendon that keeps us from falling apart. Compromise, she says simply, sitting again. They will call my hours. They will call my words. They will not call my body. That is not compromise, I say. That is a receipt with the ink scrubbed off. It keeps the door on its hinges until we replace it. She looks toward the dome. I have one condition left to set, and I will set it now. What condition? She takes my hand. Not wrist. Hand. Interlaced fingers. An act so domestic it becomes revolutionary in a place that polices breath. The band reads the motion and decides to celebrate by sinking us without ceremony. After the session, she says, we leave together, to Redstone, to neutral lanes. You advise me. I bridge for you. 2 people. No ruler. No subject. It'll ruin my career, I say, because honesty is our superstition. Then put a period where it belongs, she answers, so we can start a new line. Fire moves under my ribs, not wild, certain. I nod, and the nod is a signature that needs no ink. Outside, the city's drizzle drones begin their mid-morning sweep, painting the air with water we pretend we can spare. Somewhere above, a council scheduler writes my name into a meeting I will not attend. Somewhere else, an elder accounts for the cost of a door. Here, under a dome of leaves and borrowed light, we invent a different ledger. We kiss once more, brief and blazing as a seal. The band hums its approval. The plants lean in. The world steps back and lets the flame find air. They dress the verdict in silk. Afternoon light angles through the Helios Hall, making the fountains look generous. Elders arrange themselves in a crescent like a moon that forgot how to be full. Hardliners from Moonthread stand behind them, gloved, expressionless, rank braided into their sleeves. Security hover drones idle above like friendly meteors that know the names of your bones. Mira and I take our place on the lower step. I feel the heat of her through the fabric of my suit. She does not reach for me. She calibrates her posture to protocol perfect and waits to be weighed. Interpreter Mira, the chief elder says. His voice always smells like copper to me. Concerns have been recorded regarding contamination, the voice's proximity, the band's misuse. His eyes cut to my wrist, where an honest tan line betrays the device that is now on hers. We will isolate you for recalibration. 7 cycles. Recalibration. Polite word for erasure. You come back exactly the angles they require, all your comforting curves steamed flat. Mira bows the degree that concedes form, not content. And the work? The work waits, a hardliner replies. Sedated, like a patient. I speak. You isolate the bridge. You cut both shores. Doctor, the elder says with a patient smile that likes ending careers. You will confine yourself to your lab, produce translations, deliver through neutral couriers. Your presence is a pressure on Mira's metrics. I'm human, I say. That's all I do. Pressure metrics by existing. The hover drones shift. Somewhere in the rafters, the legal AI clears its non-throat, ready to transcript my demise. Mira's biolight flickers. She isn't afraid. She's calculating path costs. The tremor in her fingers starts and stops, a small rebellion rehearsing for later. Permission to request, she says, and the phrase is so perfectly cut, it startles the older women into nodding before they think. Request, the chief allows. Allow me 15 minutes to secure my materials and to return the band to medical custody. Then I will report to recalibration. I look at her. The words are a rope with 2 ends. One leads to a cage. The other leads to the door we haven't dared to open. Granted, he says. We turn. We do not run. Running stains reports. We walk the long corridor under the sun lamps, past the wall where a growing list of water amnesties scrolls like hymns. We pass aids with augmented sashes full of live annotations, quiet knives disguised as ribbon. One of them, a woman who used to slip me contraband coffee, will not meet my eye. In the lift, Mira exhales. The bio-light tightens to amber. We have 12 minutes, she says, and now she looks at me. And the thing in her gaze is not romance, it's decision. Cargo wing, I say. Redstone, she says. We share a crooked smile, 2 thieves stealing our own lives. We break protocol like it was made of spun sugar. The lift drops 3 decks. We cut through the translational lab. I grab the private crystal she gave me and the backup of our glossary. She pockets a pouch that cannot possibly hold what her hands are moving through, but it does. A starry storage laughs at physics. We do not look at the cameras. We make the cameras look at our old angles. Your career, she says in the stairwell, when the echoes eat fear and return it as resolve. Let it end where it makes sense, I answer, with my feet pointed toward you. Do not owe me, she warns, but her grip finds my sleeve and holds. The cargo wing runs on different weather. No fountains here, just skid lines and cold air and the smell of vacuum waiting. Crates are stacked like quiet decisions. A loader drone trundles past with a lazy threat light. Beyond the flex field, a maintenance shuttle yawns its hatch, stubby, ugly, painted municipal gray. The name on its side is a joke someone welded at 4 in the morning. Courtesy. A man with a wrench instead of rank watches us. He chews a salt fruit like a sacrament. Flight? I ask. Late, he says. Always late. Redstone Hub's requesting clearance because some elder got fussy about lanes. 2 seats? I ask. 2 seats, he confirms. His gaze ticks to Mira, registers the robe and its history, lingers not on reverence, but on empathy. And bad air, if you're nostalgic. We'll take it, I say. We won't, says a voice behind us. The hardliners move like they practiced this scene in a clean room. 3 of them, moon thread cut to the bone. Their lid, Astray, Mira's maternal aunt by contract, wears authority like frost. She is beautiful in the way an oath is beautiful. Form, edge, no warmth if you don't earn it. Niece, Astray says, your recalibration window waits. Mira turns. She doesn't bow. She doesn't posture. She presents herself like a fact. Aunt. The prophecy prescribes binding sums disguised as love. The isolation order is phrased as care. It is debt. I refuse the invoice. Refusal noted, Astrid says mildly. Refusal irrelevant. The loader drone hums to a stop between us, as if it knows the choreography. The man with the wrench raises his eyebrows without moving his head. Somewhere overhead, a public address coughs about a drizzle drone malfunction in District 6. Nobody cares. Mira, Astray continues, you are not a person here. You are an asset with kin radii. The circle calls you home. Circles, Mira says, voice suddenly gentle. Forget that someone drew them. Astray's hand lifts. A gesture, not a strike. A command to the soft cuffs in her sleeve. They purr to life like obedient pets. I step forward and take the strike for the first time in a long career. Not at a podium, not at a console. Between 2 bodies. She's under council protection, I say, and the words taste absurd the second they leave my mouth. The council protects budgets. The council protects optics. People are a rounding error. Astray looks at me the way a vacuum looks at a door. Doctor, she says, almost affectionate. Your honesty has been charming. Step aside. No, I say, and my voice finds an iron I didn't requisition. The hover drones ease in. The cuffs extend like patient snakes. Mira's biolight flashes white gold. Not fear. Heat. She takes my wrist, quick as the first day, an old reflex upgraded into allegiance. Jack, she says, calm. This is where you leave. I will go, and I will find you after they finish trying to make me a circle. No, I say again. I have been useful all my life. Let me be human. The man with the wrench spits his salt fruit seed into a gutter and says, to no one, to all of us. You've got 8 minutes before my boss comes to check inventory, and then I got ethics. Right now I got a hatch. Astray's eyes flick. Calculations change. She raises her other hand, slower. Mira, do not do this. Your line is a wall that kept flood and famine out. You cannot marry a puddle. Mira smiles, and it's a cut, clean and merciful. He is not water. He is the person who did not sell me to a sentence. Astray exhales. For a moment, she looks almost tired. Then the mask seals. Then I call Kinwright. The corridor hears. Kinwright is old law sharpened to modern teeth. It allows seizure. It allows lies spoken as love and stamped as policy. Mira steps forward. Then I call Citizen Wright, she says, and the air itself hesitates. On Helios soil, in council space, as an accredited interpreter, I claim free movement with my chosen advisor to a neutral hub. Astray laughs once. You think the council will back you? They won't have to, Mira answers, and presses the translation band sensor node. My device projects a public channel, blue light expanding like a shield. My voice, recorded at 100 podiums, opens the feed. Words follow that I do not remember speaking, because I didn't. Mira did, at 4 a.m, in a warm lab with tea steam rising, when we wrote the entry for to choose and left the box empty for later. She filled it. Declaration, the band says in her voice, through mine. I am not a sum. The loader man smiles like he just watched a perfect weld. The hardliners freeze long enough for the air to move again. The hover drones hesitate. A rare miracle. Astray's cuffs retract a centimeter. Not mercy. Math. 6 minutes, the man murmurs. He tips his head at the hatch. We move, not because we're fast, because we're decided. We reach the ramp. I grab the crate nearest the door and sling it in with us, because carrying something heavy makes leaving look like work, not escape. Astray calls after us, voice level, weaponized by love drained of water. Mira, when they recalibrate you, you will forget this melodrama. You will thank me. I will bring you flowers that drink from stone. Mira turns at the threshold. She doesn't give a speech. She doesn't give an apology. She gives a small, old gesture. 2 fingers to her throat, then out. The sign for bridge and moon-thread childhood games. I choose him, she says. The hatch seals. The shuttle's lungs fill. Systems cough to life with the eagerness of a dog that thinks it's a wolf. The pilot seat is a stool with dreams. The panel lights are old stars. I drop into the co-chair, strapping in with hands that have only ever strapped instruments. Mira sits beside me, buckles, rests her palm over mine, and our heart lines would sing if there were glass to show them. Bad air? I ask. Bad air, she agrees. Worse choices behind? She looks at the door we closed, and the world we didn't. Yes. I thumb the thrusters. The shuttle shudders, debates the law of inertia, decides to betray it. We slide into the lane. The city's drizzle drones paint the view with fresh water ghosts. Redstone's traffic beacon blinks its patient red on the horizon, a small promise wrapped in vacuum. Mira leans back, head to the bulkhead, breath finally allowed to be loud. They will hunt us. I will make them earn it. You will lose everything. I brought the only thing I wanted. She turns her face to me, and in the stutter of the panel lights, I see the person, not the status, the woman, not the asset, the bridge, not the radius. Then we will pay forward, she says softly, not back. Outside, Helios shrinks to a jeweled circuit. Ahead, Redstone waits with all its neutral lies and honest chances. Between them, a line no elder drew, held only by 2 hands refusing to let go.